Dear viewers, you are once again welcome to African Tales by Kama. Please, this is episode 2 of the story. If you have not watched or listened to episode 1, kindly do so first so that we can be on the same page. Thank you. As soon as Nkiru entered the taxi and slammed the door shut, the driver asked casually, Madam, where to? She mentioned her address and the taxi moved. She leaned back on the seat, crossed her arms and smiled a very dangerous smile. She stared through the window as the road passed by and suddenly she laughed. The driver glanced at her through the mirror. Madam? Hope no problem, he asked. Nkiru waved her hand lightly. No problem at all, she replied. But inside her head, another conversation was happening. She shook her head gently and spoke to herself in a low voice. By the time I am done with you, even your mother will not recognize you again. She paused. Then she laughed again. This time she laughed louder, not because she was wicked, but because she remembered how she had cried. For 12 solid years, she had loved with her eyes closed, and this time she was ready to open her eyes and recover the years that Harrison, the caterpillar, had stolen. As soon as she got home, her mind went back to something she had ignored for a long period of time. There was a man. His name was Emeka. He had been asking her out for months, maybe even longer. He was not loud about it. He didn't rush her. He didn't pressure her, and he didn't pretend to be what he was not. Each time he called, he was respectful. Each time he spoke, he was very clear, but Nkiru never said yes, and she never said no either. It was not because Emeka was not good. In fact, he was more than good enough. But after what Harrison did to her, her heart locked itself like a shop after armed robbery. The signboard was still there, but nobody was allowed inside. Love to her had become stressful. Men to her had become risks, so she avoided all of them. She would say things like, I am not ready. Let's be friends, please. Emeka understood. Of course he did, and instead of getting angry or forcing himself into her space, he stepped back just a little, and that alone made him different because other men would have insulted her. Some would have said, Madam, who do you even think you are? We are trying to help your life. Some would have disappeared angrily, but Emeka stayed. He did not pressure her. He did not guilt trip her. He did not try to compete with her past. He simply stayed consistent and he stayed patient. She whispered slowly to herself, So, this is how life works when you finally open your eyes? Right there, she made a decision. She told herself she would stop punishing the present just because of her past. She scrolled through her phone until she saw Emeka's name. She hesitated for a second, then she pressed call. Emeka picked up almost immediately. Hello, Nkiru. Hi, she replied. Can we talk? Of course, Emeka said without excitement and without panic. That calmness alone told her something. This man was not desperate and he is sure of himself. They talked for a long time, and when the call ended, she smiled again. Better late than never, she murmured. For the first time in a long time, she felt powerful, not because she wanted revenge, but because she finally understood her worth. She began to think, and when Nkiru thought, she thought so deeply. She remembered every sacrifice she made for Harrison, every money she sent, every bill she paid, and every time she borrowed or denied herself just to support him. Harrison, she said aloud, shaking her head, you really underestimated me. Well, there is no problem. She did not rush to act because she had learned something important that people who rush usually expose themselves. She decided to observe, calculate, and play smart. Meanwhile, Emeka continued being Emeka. When they finally met properly, he was very clear. I am not looking for a girlfriend to date for years, he said plainly, and I don't want to turn you into Lord of Rings either. Nkiru laughed so hard. I want marriage, he continued, and I am very sure you are my wife. Nkiru stopped laughing. She looked at him carefully. There was no desperation in his eyes, no fear and no manipulation, just certainty. That was when she accepted to be his girl fully. But make no mistake, Nkiru was not foolish. She played her card very well. She gave Emeka honesty, loyalty, and respect, but she did not dump her entire emotional history on him. She never mentioned Harrison. Why? Because Emeka was not her therapist. He was her future. And while Emeka focused on building that future, she quietly turned her attention to the past, not to cry over it, but to balance the books. One thing was clear in her mind. She was done being a victim, and Harrison was about to learn that patience abused can turn into intelligence, and intelligence, when offended, is very dangerous. One night after Emeka had dropped her off and gone home, Nkiru sat on her bed with a notebook and pen. She wrote at the top of the page boldly, Harrison and my 12 years investment. She paused, stared at the heading and laughed. Investment indeed, she muttered. Then she began, slowly, carefully and honestly. She started from the early years, the small money she used to give him when they were still young and struggling. Transport money, 2,000 naira here and 5,000 naira there. She moved on to school days, project money, printing money, and submission money. She remembered how she used to deny herself small pleasures just so she could support him. She shook her head and whispered, God forbid, oh, I indeed loved without sense. She continued writing, emergency money, I am sick money, I am stranded money, I need to sort something very urgent money. Each line reminded her of a memory, some painful, some annoying, and some just foolish. Then she got to the big ones. Internship period. That was when Harrison turned her into a one-woman ATM. Transport every week, food money every month, bills she didn't understand but still paid. She wrote everything down. Her pen moved faster and her memory sharpened. Then she reached October 2016. She paused. That was the beginning of madness, she said quietly. She wrote 11,000 naira for transport money stolen from my mommy's shop. She stopped again. See me, oh, she said. I became a thief, all in the name of love. She continued writing, December money. I am hungry money. I need to manage money. She remembered how she sent 20,000 naira, her last money, because Harrison complained about something. She kept writing until the page was almost full. Then she leaned back and stared at everything. Her heart beat faster, not from anger but from realization. So, I really did all of this? She asked herself. She added everything up carefully using her phone calculator. When the total appeared, she blinked and then she let out a loud laugh. Harrison, you indeed finished my destiny, oh, she exclaimed. But she was not done. 12 years is not 12 days. Oh no, she said, tapping the pen on the notebook. He must pay interest. Walai talai. She remembered all the opportunities she missed, the men she ignored, and the emotional damage. She added good interest and she calculated everything properly like a woman who had learned wisdom the hard way. When she finished finally, she circled the final amounts. She stared at it for a long time. Then she closed the notebook gently and she made a decision. She will not shout, she will not fight, and she will not beg. She will collect what was hers smartly. And the funny thing, Harrison made it very easy. One weekend, she casually mentioned, I need to sort out something urgently. It's about 500,000 naira, but I don't want to disturb you. Harrison laughed. 500,000 naira? Is that even money? I will send 1 million. and within few seconds, the alert entered. Nkiru stared at her phone and she wrote it down. She knew Harrison had entered a dangerous phase of his life, the phase where he was trying to prove that he had changed. He could provide and he wanted to prove he deserved a second chance. She never clustered her request. She never asked for big money twice a roll. She spaced everything carefully and smartly. 1 week, she will collect her right heavily and then she will relax. Harrison would then fill the gaps himself. He started sending money randomly with the narrations written as, buy something nice for yourself, go and relax somewhere, take care of yourself, and so on and so forth. One day, he sent her a new phone. Nkiru checked the model online, checked the price, and wrote it down. A designer bag came next. She checked the price and she wrote it down. Perfumes, clothes, shoes, etc. They were all documented. To Harrison, there were romantic surprises, but to Nkiru, there were receipts. Throughout all this, she was extremely careful about Emeka. She never missed stories. She never entertained nonsense. She never crossed boundaries and she never gave Emeka any reason to doubt her. Sometimes she would sit alone and laugh quietly. See life, she would say. If I had had sense before, I wouldn't have suffered so much. But she did not beat herself up. Months passed and the notebook was filled up with numbers. One evening, while sitting quietly, she added up everything again. She calculated for like 3 times. She compared the total with what she had spent on Harrison over the 12 years, plus interest. She stared at the figures for a long time. Then she closed the notebook gently. A deep breath left her chest. I am done, she said, and instantly she felt light, like someone who just dropped a heavy load after trekking for years. She leaned back on her chair and laughed. God, thank you that I played my card very well. Thank you that I did not also lose something important while chasing a shadow. She was especially grateful that Emeka did not suspect anything, not even for once. That night, she slept deeply, feeling fulfilled, while somewhere else, Harrison slept happily too, unaware that the woman he thought he was winning back had already finished collecting her debts. When Emeka finally proposed to Nkiru, she did not jump into saying yes like a child jumping into a swimming pool without checking the depths. She entered slowly, one leg at a time, watching the water carefully. Emeka had proven with actions what he said with words. He was consistent. If he said he would come by, he came. If he said he was busy, he explained. If he didn't have money for something, he said it plainly. No forming, no borrowing to impress, no fake lifestyle, and one thing shocked Nkiru deeply. Emeka never asked her for money, not even for once. After 12 years of sponsoring a grown man, this alone felt like a miracle. Sometimes Nkiru would sit alone and think, is this how love is supposed to be? I mean, no stress, no fear, no monitoring, and no insecurity. Just two people moving in the same direction. It was only then she realized that if Harrison had not broken her heart, she might not have recognized a good man when she saw one. One day, Emeka said something that sealed everything for her. I don't want to waste your time. If at any point you feel this is not what you want, tell me. I won't hold you hostage. I promise we will simply go our separate ways amicably. That word hostage shook her because that was exactly what Harrison had done. He held her hostage with promises. That night after the proposal, she laid on her bed smiling. Now, she didn't need a prophet to tell her that she had chosen well. Harrison interrupted her thoughts with a call. I miss you, he said. Nkiru replied with okay, and then silence followed. That silence pushed Harrison into panic. I mean it, he rushed. I really missed you. I feel like my life started making sense again with you in it. Nkiru listened without emotion. Then she said calmly, "Life is very funny." Harrison laughed nervously and then he replied, "Yes, my dear, it's indeed funny. If only he knew how funny it was about to get." That same week, she started her wedding plan with Emeka, and Harrison, the dreamer, was still sending "How are you" messages like a man checking his temperature. Nkiru replied politely but briefly. She already knew she was done. One fateful morning, Harrison sent a long, sweet message promising how he can cross 7 oceans and climb the highest mountains for her. That was when she decided to make one final request. She called him and said sweetly, "Can we go out this weekend, please?" Harrison was so happy, and then with that excitement, he asked her to mention her preference. She paused deliberately. "How about a five-star restaurant?" she asked. Harrison laughed loudly. "My sugar in my tea," he exclaimed. "My cockroach in my cupboard." And Kiro laughed as well. Then he added calmly, "No problem at all. Anything for you, my baby." They agreed on the date and Nkiru ended the call. The D-Day came. She dressed simply but beautifully. At the restaurant, Harrison was already waiting. He stood up quickly when he saw her. "You look beautiful," he said eagerly. "Thank you so much," Nkiru replied calmly. They sat down and they ordered. Harrison ordered like a man trying to prove something. Drinks, food, desserts, and extra everything. Nkiru ordered as well. Of course, she went for expensive things. She watched him talk, watched him laugh, and watched him dream aloud. In his mind, he was winning. Then the bills came. Harrison picked it up confidently. Then his face changed. The amount stared back at him like an insult. Nkiru checked it casually. "It's correct," she said. "Everything we ordered is here. Remember, we did a 5-star." Harrison swallowed hard. Then he paid. As soon as the payment went through, Nkiru stood up. "I need to step out," she said. Outside, she texted her friend. "I am ready." The car arrived. She went back inside, not to sit but to drop the most heartbreaking news without an iota of pity. She brought out an envelope and handed it to Harrison. "What is this?" he asked nervously. "Open it, please," she replied. He opened it. Inside was her wedding invitation card. For a moment, Harrison's brain stopped working. "What is this?" he shouted. "Guy, it's my wedding invitation," Nkiru replied calmly, "and you are invited." Harrison lost it. He stood up and started shouting. "Nkiru, so all this while, you were cheating. You are so cheap. You are a cheap prostitute. You planned this. You have no shame at all. I cursed the day I met you." People stared, but Nkiru remained calm. She looked at him and said quietly, like a big-time chick, "I leave you, sir, with your conscience. That card in your hand is my judgment for what you did to me years ago." She turned and walked away without looking back. Instantly, everything became blurry for Harrison. He pinched himself once, twice, and again. "This can't be real," he whispered. But it was. That was the day he understood a painful truth. Nobody can eat their cake and still expect it to be waiting for them untouched. He got home that night and confusion became his middle name. He sat on his bed fully dressed. Shoes were still on. He started staring at the wall like someone whose soul had just stepped out for fresh air and forgot to return. He replayed everything again and again. The food, the bill, the envelope, and the invitation. He stood up, sat down, walked around the room, and he told himself it was a prank. Nah. She's just trying to scare me," he muttered. "She can't be serious. I know she will soon call me to apologize. Not after everything I've done for her." But days passed. Nothing like flash, not to talk of call. Then one morning, while scrolling aimlessly on his phone, he saw a post. Someone had shared Nkiru's wedding flyer. His chest tightened. Omo, so this thing is real, he whispered. The D-Day came and Harrison attended the wedding from his room. He followed everything like a ghost right from his bedroom. Pictures started dropping on social media. The one that almost took his life was where he saw Nkiru standing beside her husband, a man who looked calm, confident and unbothered. He zoomed the pictures, checked the captions and read every comment. Some comments stabbed him deeply. Finally, she married right. Peace looks good on her. This is what happens when you choose well. He dropped his phone and began to read several meanings into all the comments. After the wedding, he still hoped maybe they would settle in Nigeria. Maybe he could still run into her and maybe time would only soften things. Then another post appeared within 2 weeks. A picture at the airport. Nkiru and her husband smiling with luggages beside them, and then a caption that almost sent him 6 feet below. New chapter, new home. Bye-bye to Nigeria for good. Harrison sat up straight. He checked comments again. Someone wrote, "Safe journey, my people." Another wrote, "Welcome to your new country. God did this relocation." That was when it hit him so hard. This was not just an assumption. It was real, like the world itself. He dropped his phone slowly and he cried because he understood something very heavy. There was no way to plan against her, no way to interfere, and no way to rewrite the story. He had lost her emotionally, he had lost her physically, and he had also lost access to her completely. She didn't just move on, she moved away. Life for him became quiet after then, and taking care of the child alone became strenuous. Until today, Harrison is still recovering from the shock, and sadly, his life never remained the same. Hey, Africa Tales by Karma Tribe. How are you all doing? For me, I am doing just fine. I hope you enjoyed the story as much as I did. But before I leave today, kindly permit me to say this. Patience is good in relationship, but patience without direction is dangerous. Nkiru waited for 12 solid years. I mean, 1, 2, 3, up to 12 years because she believed in love, loyalty, and hope. Those are good things, but love must move forward. If someone keeps you waiting endlessly, confusing you and giving you promises without action, my dear, that's not love. They are simply agents of delay, and you should know what to do by now. A person who truly wants you will never waste your time. Emeka did not need 12 years to be sure. He did not play games. He did not confuse Nkiru, and he came with clarity and intention. That's how serious relationships look like. Don't let any man deceive you. They know what they are doing, and if they see that thing that they want, they will go for it without any delay. If you were 30 last year, automatically you're 31 because this is a new year, and that's how it will be increasing without going down. So, my dear sister, advise yourself by yourself. So, let me ask you, who was your best character in the story? Do you think Nkiru went too far? Was she right to collect what she felt she was on? Or would you have preferred she walked away without doing anything? And what would you have done differently if you were in her shoes? Kindly drop your thoughts with me in the comment section as I would love to engage with you. If you enjoyed the story, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share out to your loved ones, and subscribe to this channel if you have not already done so. Until I bring the next interesting story your way, it's a goodbye from here, and God bless you.